And welcome back to the CSS podcast. This is episode number 113. I am your host, Dave. The gentleman in the middle is Sam, and the gentleman on my right, your left, is Charlie.
Hello.
Gentlemen, we have a great show tonight. We're talking about college football. Unfortunately, UC is not part of the college football playoffs or the bowl series, so tonight we're going to dedicate the show to our predictions, doing our brackets or like our bracket busters for the NCAA men's basketball tournament. But we're going to do the football, the 12-team playoff. We're going to get reactions, and we're going to talk a little bit about who we think is going to win, key matchups, those type of things. And then at the end, we will give our predictions for the championship game and who's going to come out victorious on that. But before we do, we always want to go around to our host and ask how their week was. So, gentlemen, how was your week?
I was good. Can't complain.
Yeah, mine was good. A little too much winter time earlier in the week. Today was nice, but I don't like to face the idea that it's actually winter. So
That is true. It was very nice in Cincinnati. We had 50-degree weather today. It was 40 some yesterday, sun shining. That's what made it real nice. And it was nice that the Bengals don't play, so I got out, got the yard
well,
done,
that's not
yard
the only
work.
reason.
Well, no,
I
it's
made it
not.
nice they didn't play.
But at least I didn't feel obligated to sit and watch a quarter of the Bengals. Um, that I'll probably do Monday night, and then turn them off and go to bed. But let's go ahead and talk a little bit the week that was. Xavier basketball lost to Big 12 foe, to TCU, 76-72. They have Morgan State as a tune-up before the crosstown showdown. I don't have a whole lot to say about the TCU game. Just I didn't watch it, so I just read a little bit about it, knowing that it's the same type of things that's plaguing Xavier's. They're not getting off to a hot start, and they have to work like heck in the second half to try to come back, and it's just catching up to them.
Yeah, I will say last Sunday, part of why I wasn't on the podcast is I was at the Xavier game last Sunday, the home game, and they have no bench. Their bench is not good. Which they played South Carolina State, who was actually coached by Eric Martin, who was a UC grad. He was on the Final Four team back in the '90s, and Terry Nelson was sitting, who was the UC announcer and was on that same team, was sitting like 2 rows in front of me, and I guess the old boys were getting together since Eric Martin was in town, and so I'm sure he had a little bit extra motivation to want to win that game, but I figured I was going to a game where it was going to be a 20-point win, kind of walk in the park. And South Carolina State they were either down 1 or 2 within like 30 seconds left in the game. I was a little surprised. And that was, I think, a lot of that just from the Xavier bench. I mean, they got no production. Jerome Hunter, who's one of the players who did not play last year, but is a veteran coming back, was their only presence from the bench. And so they kind of relied on their starters, and that was hurting them that game. I don't know about TCU. I didn't look at bench production, but I know they didn't play. I think they had I think they might have been leading at the half, but second half they didn't hold that. So they're struggling a little bit. I know we haven't talked about UC yet, but I assume that leads us right into the UC conversation, because they also lost this past week to Villanova, and they did not play well. I watched that game, and there was old UC where they couldn't shoot worth anything. Seamus, I think, shot 3 for 9, and if he's off, then the rest of the guys were following his lead. So they did not play well. They were behind the entire game. They let the Villanova inside guy go off for 31, and he does score like 25, 26 a game. so it's not out of character for him. But they had no answer for him, which does disappoint me because I mean you got Aziz who's 7 foot 7'1", you got Dylan Mitchell. So it's not like they lack tall guys. So now their tall guys weigh about 190 pounds. They have no girth when it comes to their big guys, but still, I feel like they just didn't do a good job defensively, and they just couldn't shoot. That's a bad combination against a decent team. I mean, Villanova, I don't think is that good of a team, which I guess was also disappointing. And then today they played Howard, and they were only up 2 at half. That's not good. I mean, Howard's a nothing team, so that's a little bit concerning going into Xavier. So I guess the bottom line is neither team is playing all that well right now. So I guess maybe that cancels each other out going into Saturday.
Yeah, I watched UC's game today, and like you said, they were up. I think it was 32-30 at halftime, and they just didn't play well. They were turning it over. They didn't really have that intensity on defense. I mean, Howard pretty much got whatever shot they wanted. If it was a better team, they'd probably score 45, 50 points, to be honest with you, with the looks that they were getting. But the second half, whatever Wes Miller, whatever adjustments they made, whatever he said to them at halftime, they really did pick up the defensive intensity. And, I mean, they pretty much dominated the second half. It was much better. So at least they go into the Xavier game that high. And Xavier, I mean, they're coming off a loss. I guess they have a game midweek, whereas UC doesn't this week. I guess they have UC at finals probably, so that's probably why they don't have a game.
They do, yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, I think they'll be ready to go for Xavier. I really do.
Well, let's talk about the crosstown shootout. Xavier's won the last 5, last 12 out of the last 18 went to the boys in blue. So, what are some keys that UC needs to take away the victory?
I mean, Crawley kind of mentioned it. Xavier doesn't have a bench, so get some guys in foul trouble. Be aggressive offensively. Get Fremantle in foul trouble, and maybe get one of their guards in foul trouble. Make them play 10 guys and make them play significant minutes. Because UC's depth, that's the one thing that they really have going for them. I mean, they've got 9-10 guys, I think, that Wes Miller really likes and trusts to be out there at any time. I mean, you kind of have your point guard rotation figured out, so you're always going to have either Drizzle James or Day out there, and he trusts both of them, and that's really what you need. And then, I mean, you've got Skillings and the coaches who are kind of your wing scorers. They're kind of your bucket getters when you need them. Skillings played today. I didn't really notice him too much, but it was good to see him out there just kind of getting some run in. But yeah, I think if they can get Xavier in foul trouble early, I think they've got a real chance to win.
Yeah, I think just the fact Skillings came back today. I think he played 14 minutes, so it really didn't matter about production today. It was just get him on the court and get him back integrated. So that's good news. I mean, if he's at 100% or even 95%, he's top 3 player on the team, if not the best player on the team in terms of the wing. So that was really important. They got to play, defense. I mean, they got to do, just the basics. Nothing special about what they have to do. They got to play defense. They got to shoot decent. One good thing is that UC, I mean, for UC standpoint, is they come into this game with most players having experience in it. And that's been a Xavier advantage forever, is that Xavier holds on to their guys for 3 or 4 years. And so they know the game, they know how it works. And then UC comes in with these newbies all the time, and they act like they've never played in a big game before. So that shouldn't be the case this year. You're at UC, you got to have the crowd behind you. You got veterans, they know what this is all about. They know the record over the last, you said it, really a couple decades almost. So yeah, I don't think there's anything mysterious about this basketball game in terms of what needs to be done for UC.
Yeah, I'd say on Xavier's side, a few things. One, they have to handle the crowd. They can't get caught up in the crowd because I think the shoe will be rocking and rolling. Two, they have to get to the free throw line. Like a typical Xavier team shoots more free throws or makes more free throws than the other team shoots. So if they can do that, that'll take the crowd out of the game a little bit, get UC in foul trouble. And I think the other two, they got to hit a couple of outside shots to get their confidence. And probably the most important thing is to limit UC's second chance opportunities. If they can get on the boards and control the boards and limit UC to only one shot, they have a chance. So, I don't know if they can do that. Like you said, Charlie, they got a lot of newbies, even though they do have a few players that have played in this game and knows what it means to the Xavier folk, and they also know what it means to the Cincinnati folk. So, it should be a great game. It's on at 2 p.m. And I don't know. It'll be interesting. So let's shoot our predictions out. Who do you think is going to win? And by this, what was the score? Because last year we had Mike Holland on, and he was like 2 points away from picking it perfect. So we got to match that this year.
I'm going with UC. I'll say UC 74, Xavier 64. UC by 10.
I like it. Crawley?
I think UC will win. If they don't win this game, that's a problem. I mean, this is their best team they've had in years, and this is not Xavier's best team they've had in years. Better than last year's, but I'll say Xavier. I'll say it'll be a little bit more defensive. I'll say UC is going to win 65-61.
Yeah, just looking at the scores, if the game gets in the 80s and high 70s, that favors Xavier. So, UC has to play a better job on the defensive side than in years past. So I am going to say they are going to come out. They're going to weather the storm. They're going to put the defense down. And I will say 68-61 UC. So you know what that means, right? Xavier's going to win since we all picked UC.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's move on to UC football. There's really didn't make the bowl. There was an outside shot if there wasn't enough eligible bowl teams, but they just didn't make it. They were lost that last game of the year where they could have been bowl eligible. Now I guess we just have to look at. I know there was early signing day, which really wasn't great.
Did not go well at all.
Did not go well. No, it did not go well.
I think you lost more recruits than you actually got signed.
Right, and I don't know if it was UC or if it was another. It might have been another school, but I think it was another school where their recruiting class that they lost actually ranked higher than the recruiting class that they signed. So as far as the rankings.
In fact, that could have been UC.
It could have been UC, yeah, but I think it might have been Florida State for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, that would make sense too. But UC didn't sign a single 4- or 5-star.
And they didn't get anybody from Cincinnati.
Yeah.
They didn't sign anybody from Cincinnati. And I think that is what, if anything's going to turn the fan base, besides, losing like this.
Losing does even more.
Yes, it does, but not signing,
because I don't care if the guy's from Taiwan, if he can play football and they win.
Care. So. I understand that, but the fan base, the majority of the fan base wants some homegrown. They're like,
I don't know about majority.
Well, here's the thing: there's a lot of talent here, high school football wise.
There's
good recruits, so to not get one of them that's insane. But I mean,
Street boy goes up the street to Michigan, which is a slap in the face to Ohio State as well. But I don't know if they recruited him or not.
Right. Yeah. I'm less. I will say though, I'm the 4 or 5 star recruit thing. It doesn't worry me as much as I do care about that they get some local guys because Tuberville was awful with that, and he's the worst coach we've had in 50 years. I think he's the worst coach in NCAA football history in 50 years. And then you have, and he didn't get any local guys. And Fickle did. Now, Fickle didn't get 4 and 5 star recruits either. I mean, if you go back and look at the semifinal, the playoff team, they didn't have 4 and 5 star recruits. Ritter was a no recruit. I mean, he was nothing. Sauce Gardner was like a 2-star recruit. So it's not about the stars; it's about you coaching them up. And that's the question: is can Satterfield do that? And at this point, that's not great indication of that. So the start thing for me I don't care about that. I care about can he develop? Can he get these guys over the 2-3 years? Hopefully they stay. The transfer portal is changing that too, because you bring a guy in, you develop him for a year or 2, and then they go to wherever can offer him more money. So that's always an issue that Fickle did not have to deal with as much when he was here, and he's not exactly lighting the world on fire at Wisconsin.
No, he's not. And
so
Sam and I talked about that last week.
So there you go. I mean, that's telling you something right there.
That a little 3-team trade happening.
Right. A player to be named later. Fickle comes back to UC. Satterfield goes back to App State, and then Wisconsin gets, Jim Leonard, who they probably should have hired instead of Fickle. But there we go. I guess the big news would be who's leaving. The Bearcats football team, who's going in the portal, who's going in the NFL draft.
Sorsby is the bigger news. I mean, probably the biggest news is he recommitted.
He recommitted. He upped his contract, I guess. But
right, exactly. Came to an agreement.
Yes, re-signed.
What stupid booster saw his numbers this year and was like, "Yeah, let's pay him more money." It's a joke. This whole thing is a complete joke. Crazy.
The way it is.
It
is.
You got to
complaining about it because this is the way it's going to be.
Right.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Well,
but everybody's working with the same set of rules, so I mean, you can't complain too much. But still,
but you're all not working with the same set of boosters and financial support, so that's the difference.
No, but nobody was. So.
Well, that is true. All right. So, Sorsby's back. We'll see who leaves, who else they might get in the portal here in the coming weeks. So it'd be interesting to see where we're at after, because they do re-rank after the first portal, their class. So we'll see if UC moves up at all. We'll see.
Better. They're in the 60s.
Yeah, I know. They're behind a lot of
like MAC schools. Like
right.
that. Yeah. That's insane. You can't have that. Especially to be an Ohio school, to be ranked behind Ohio MAC schools. You can't. You just can't. That's inexcusable.
Well, Ohio MAC schools went to bowling.
Yeah, they did.
And UC didn't. So
yeah,
and we'll talk about that here in a little bit as well. But we'll move on to the Reds. Not a whole lot of news coming out of the Reds camp. They did release their spring training dates. When the pitchers and catchers report, I think it was February 10th, if I'm not mistaken. Let me do a quick search here. I think it was February 10th when pitchers and catchers report. Let's see. Of course, their website doesn't have anything on there right now. Typical Reds.
Pitchers and catchers will report. Oh, no, that was this past year. Never mind. That's 2024.
Yeah.
I don't see anything for 2025.
Yeah,
here we go. February 10th.
February 10th. That's what I thought.
Yep.
Pitchers and catchers. And then 15th is that every day, everybody? Or is it?
Pitchers and catchers report. 15th. Position players. Yep.
Okay. And then their first game is what, the 19th?
Something like that. Yeah, it's shortly after.
Yeah, it's a split squad. I did see that. It's a split squad for their first game, which is kind of weird. But oh well. So, the Reds news as far as that is winter meetings coming up here this week. Excuse me. And this is the time to lay the groundwork for potential trade, signing free agents, those type of things. Any thoughts on the winter meetings? What you want to see Crawl and Meter do?
I mean, I'm seeing a lot of rumors with the White Sox pitcher, Crochet, or however you say his name, Crochet, whatever. I mean, it seems to be like the Reds are the front runner right now from everything that I saw today. So, I mean, that would make things a little more interesting as far as, the rotation goes. One, what it would take to get him. And then two, I mean, that adds 8 legitimate starters that have big league experience. So, kind of how they decide to play that out would be interesting if they do decide to pull the trigger on that trade. But I mean, I mentioned this to you last week. I just wanted to be encouraged by seeing the rumors actually out there and not just have them be dormant. I mean, it'll be a little disappointing if they don't end up making a move, but at least they're trying. It seems like they're trying. So that's a positive. That's a step in the right direction, I think.
Crawley, you got anything on your wish list?
Yeah, I would assume if they would trade for a pitcher that they would have pitchers going back the other way. So, so they wouldn't have the 7 guys. They would have Abbott or Lodolo or somebody would be going the other way. White Sox, because I listened to a White Sox analyst dude. He said they don't want pitchers. They want position players. So I would assume it would have to be, if they would take a pitcher, it's going to be a major league ready pitcher. So it'd probably be it would be one of those guys, Lodolo or Abbott.
Yeah.
But then it's going to be their higher level position player prospects is who would be going the other way. It'd be great, I guess. I mean, it's never bad to have better pitching. But I still want an outfielder. I mean, that's still my number one priority for the team. If they don't bring an outfielder back in, if we start with any of the nonsense we had beginning of the year last year as the starting outfield, then I don't have great hope for this team. Yeah,
I know. Who was it? Just signed with Baltimore.
Tyler O'Neill.
Yeah, Tyler O'Neill, which, some people were saying, hey, it could be a sleeper for the Reds. So that, that
I don't know how much he signed for. He probably got more money than
million, 45,
how much?
I believe. It's either 45 or 49 million.
Yeah, it was like a 3-year deal, but there's an opt-out after the first year.
The first year, right. A lot of people are thinking, well, he would be okay here in Great American Ballpark. But that leads, Baltimore's big bat, Santander, available. But I think he's going to command north of 100,000 or 100 million. I just don't, I don't see the Reds pulling that kind in free agency. But it would be nice if they could, because he's a power bat. Or, the trade market, like Sam, you and I talked about, get Brent Rooker from the A's and give up. If you bring in the Crochet or whoever from the White Sox, you're not going to have 3 left-handed starters. So you could maybe trade one of those, Abbott or Lodolo, out to Oakland,
yeah,
and put another package deal with a couple of lower level high prospects, because I think the A's they're not too concerned about major league ready talent. They want their talent to be ready when they move into their new ballpark. So, you've got a couple of people like a Cam Collier, Reese Hines is probably wouldn't happen.
Not worth much.
Yeah, not worth it, but
not trade wise.
Right. But a couple of other lower level prospects that might entice them, and you throw in an Abbott or Lodolo to help out the rotation right now. So, all right. So let's see what next week. We'll talk a little bit about winter meetings, and hopefully we'll have breaking news. And the Reds, will give us all a early Christmas gift. So with Christmas right there, let's talk about the Bengals, and let's preview the Monday night game. I don't know. I don't have a good feeling about it. It's Dallas in Dallas. Cooper Rush, who won week 2 years ago against us.
Yeah, he's experienced against the Bengals.
He is, and he's 7-3 in his 10 starts. So it's not like he's this backup who can't win a game. He's 7-3, and I don't know. I don't know. I mean, Dallas is starting to get healthy. Their defense is starting to get healthy, and that's what scares me the most. Orlando Brown is out already. Logan Wilson is out. Rankins.
And we know the Bengals are going to have to score 40. I mean, I don't care if who they're playing. I don't care if they're playing Moeller.
Right.
They're going to have to score 40.
40
so
45,
it really doesn't matter about what, Cooper Rush or whatever, because they're going to score 35, the Cowboys. So at least. So can the Bengals score? Can the Bengals outscore them?
Right.
That's the question. I mean, I would take the Steelers defense over the Cowboys defense, and the Bengals scored 38 on them. So, so I think they can score 40 or 50. They may even need 50.
They might need 50.
So, I mean, Logan Wilson or no Logan Wilson, they didn't stop a soul. So,
no, against Pittsburgh, it was 410 yards. Russell Wilson through the air, and then against Cleveland today, he had 100 and like.
Oh, 14. I knew. Oh, I predicted he was not going to score. He was not throwing more than 200.
No, but.
So anybody that came on these analysts to try to pump up Russell Wilson this past week were freaking idiots.
Well,
because he threw against the Bengals defense. Russell Wilson will not throw for 400 yards combined the next 3 games, counting today.
But then week 18, he might spin it for 400.
Well, he may not need to. He may sit it out.
They might sit him down, yeah.
Well, then Justin Fields will throw for 3.
He'll run.
Oh, yeah, Justin Fields will throw for 350.
Yeah. And Rush for 150.
And this Bengals defense is pathetic.
Yes.
It's worse than the 90s defense, the 1990s version of the defenses we rolled out there.
Yeah, I agree.
Just that offense was awful too.
Right. But every now and then you had a glimmer. You had Shakin' Blake, throwing the ball down the field, but you get a surprise victory against the Steelers here or there, or upset the Dolphins on Monday Night Football between the Shula Bowl, those kind of things. But yeah. This it's bad. I mean, it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And McPherson, which could be a blessing in disguise, he's out for the rest of the year. They put him on IR. Signed Cade York. Can't be any worse, right? I mean, it's
hey, they'll go for it on 4th down pretty much every time.
That would be good.
Yeah, that's what I said last week. I said they shouldn't even kick it anymore. Like, why not? Yeah, and then onside kick. Like
go for 2 after every touchdown.
Yeah, go for 2 and onside kick it every single time, because
declare it.
You just declare it, onside kick it, because I mean, at least your yards given up will look better as far as the defense.
They're going to score anyhow, so 4 from your own 15. Yeah, we're going for it. Those kind of things. That way, our defense only has to be on the field for 2 plays instead of 4. All right. So predictions. What do you got for the Monday night? First of all, are you guys watching the Simpsons broadcast of it?
I'm not going to be watching the Simpsons.
Yeah,
it's a clown show anyhow, cartoon, so you might as well
I might
Might as
flip
well
over,
watch it.
Joe, just to see what it looks like. But
Yeah, I probably. Yeah,
I don't even know what is that on Disney or something. The Simpsons episode.
I thought it was a ESPN something or another, maybe ESPN2. I'm not 100% sure.
Well, maybe they're not doing the Manning cast, but I thought the Manning cast was usually ESPN.
They might be doing. Yeah, you're right. It might be on News or Plus or something. Yeah, it might be Disney.
Or it might be ESPN too, because I think something's on ABC now. They do something with ABC. I don't know. Who knows? But see, I thought The Simpsons was Fox, so I don't know.
It's on Disney Plus though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right. So scores. What do we got, Crawley? You've been Mr. Optimistic here.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay optimistic. Bengals are gonna win 55-50.
Woo!
I'm not.
Every week I'm just gonna keep going up. Like by week 17, it's gonna be 75-72. It'll be a basketball score. They will score more points than the Bearcats will.
All right.
I'm not picking a team. It's going to be a shootout, like Crawley said. Whoever has the ball last, I think, wins. I guess I'll pick a team. I'll pick the Bengals just, for the sake of it. I'll say 49-45 Bengals.
Oh, I think, I can't remember if I had them winning this game. I think I had them losing this game in the beginning of the year when we made our predictions, and that was with Dak and the whole Dallas crew. But now that Cooper Rush is there and Lou, he didn't blitz backup quarterbacks to begin with, and Lou just, I don't know, he's not going to be able to dial up anything because they can't execute anything he dials up. So I'm going to say Cooper Rush again. He's going to have a big day. And it's going to be, I'm going to say 38-31.
Wow, low scoring.
Yeah, I'm going to say low scoring. There's going to be some turnovers. There's going to be some, it's Monday Night Football. And
no, the Bengals aren't going to force any turnovers.
No, that's why I'm saying the bank. Yeah, but I just think it's going to be 38-31. All right. And then the following week they got the Titans. Our boy Callahan. Any thoughts on that game, or because it will?
Will Levis will probably solidify his starting job next year in that game. So that's my prediction.
That, or they'll tank because they want a better draft choice. And
you can't tank against the Bengals. It doesn't matter who you put out there; they're going to score. You just can't.
That is true.
Slide at the one. Slide at the one. Don't score.
Well, freaking Geno Stone will probably push you into the end zone. So.
All right. We'll review that game next Sunday. We'll talk a little bit about this Bengals Cowboys game as well. But we're going to move on to the trivia. Last week, Sam tried to answer this question, Crawley. Let's see if you can hear. Let me find it. So it was with Jamar Chase creeping in on his most, leading the league in receiving yards. Well, I want to name the top 10 receivers that had the most receiving yards in the first 5 seasons. Sam, you got like 7 of them?
I think I got 8.
You got 8?
In Bengals history or NFL history?
NFL history.
Oh,
but I didn't get number 1. I remember I didn't get number 1.
You did not get number 1. I don't think you got number 8.
I might have only got 7 then.
And you didn't get number 9 either. So
yeah.
So the number 1 overall, Crawley, you want to take a stab at who the number 1 is?
Justin Jefferson.
He's 3 on the list. but that's a good guess.
Cooper Cup.
Cooper Cup is not on the list.
I guess it didn't have enough in the first probably couple of years.
Right.
If I remember right, he's not active right now.
Correct. He is not active.
Retired a couple years ago.
Who, the number one guy?
Yeah,
he retired more than a couple years ago, I think.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, the number one was Terry Holt with 6,784 yards.
I wouldn't have guessed that if you gave me 500 guesses.
Randy Moss was 2. Justin Jefferson was 3. Jerry Rice was 4. Julio Jones was 5. A.J. Green was 6. Mike Evans was 7. Larry Fitzgerald was 8. Michael Thomas was 9. And A.J. Brown was your 10. So with that, we're going to move on. And I believe, Sam, you have this week's question.
I do. It's a little college town trivia here. So it's a little two-parter. So first part, I'll break it down here in a second. So there's 13 different cities, but they're in different states that schools share the same name. There's 4 where both teams are currently in the FBS, and this is just D1. So there's 4. So your question, the first part is what are the 4 city names that share names? So like we're not looking like UC Xavier that shares Cincinnati. We're looking at different states, but same name of the city. So who are the 4 in the FBS as far as Division I goes? Both schools are FBS.
And they share the same city name or mascot?
City name. City name.
City name. So like it would be like Bloomington for IU,
right. but there's not another one.
Not another right. Bloomington.
Yes.
Oh goodness.
Boy.
I'll give you just like a hint. The MAC and the SEC are very well represented in this.
Oxford.
Oxford is one. Ole Miss and Miami.
Yep. Yeah. Bowling Green.
Bowling Green is another, with Bowling Green and Western Kentucky.
Kentucky, yeah. Auburn. Auburn only has one.
So the other one is an SEC and a MAC school, and then the other one is 2 SEC schools.
2 SEC schools, you said?
Yep.
I was just thinking SEC cities: Nashville, Baton Rouge, Tuscaloosa,
Lubbock.
Lubbock. Well, that's not SEC.
Yeah, I know, but
College Station,
Austin,
Norman,
Gainesville, Athens.
Athens is one. That is Georgia and Ohio. Yep.
And
then
the 2 SEC. South Carolina is in
Columbia.
Columbia.
Missouri.
Yep. And Missouri. Yep. And then there's 9 other ones that are a combination of FBS/FCS or basketball only. If you guys want to give any of them a go, you can go ahead. Or I can just list them off. So
not really.
Yeah, list them off. Because that would
be. You have Charleston with the College of Charleston in Eastern Illinois. You have Conway with Coastal Carolina and Central Arkansas. You have Durham with Duke and New Hampshire. You have Greenville with Eastern Carolina, which is in North Carolina, and Furman in South Carolina. And then you have Jacksonville. You have Jacksonville State, Alabama, and North Florida, which is in Jacksonville, Florida. You have Lexington with Kentucky and Virginia Military Institute. And then you have Newark with NJIT, and then Delaware is in Newark, Delaware. And you have one in Normal with Alabama A&M and Illinois State.
Yeah.
And then you have Richmond with Eastern Kentucky and Kentucky. And then you have VCU or Richmond in Virginia.
All right. Nice. All right, there you have it. I'm going to move on to our topic of the week now, and this is where it gets interesting. We are talking a little bit about the NCAA football championship playoff bracket, and then we're going to have a couple of bowl game predictions outside of that. But before we break down our bracket, first of all, thoughts on the bracket, thoughts on the committee. Do you think the right teams got in? Just
I
thoughts
do.
overall.
I do. I mean, I'm looking at it now. I mean, Clemson's the only 3-loss team, and they only got in because they won their conference. And I think they did it right. They didn't penalize anybody for playing in their conference championship game, which was, kind of the big concern, especially as far as SMU was concerned. That was really the only debate was, okay, SMU versus Alabama, essentially. And I mean, it's coming from an Alabama fan. If you lose 3 times, 2 of them to 500 schools in your own conference, you don't have any leg to stand on. And as far as the committee goes, I mean, they laid it out last week, where everybody was. And yeah, I mean, as far as I was concerned, SMU couldn't fall out with a loss in the ACC championship game. They just couldn't.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it came down to. It sounds like, I mean, Alabama being the first team out was Alabama versus SMU. So it's just a matter of which element of those 2 teams the committee was going to prioritize. And that sounds like they definitely penalized Alabama for their losses, and didn't penalize SMU as much for not having as good of wins. So it seems as if the losses had more impact than the wins, because Alabama had better wins by far, but also had worse losses.
Yeah, and I mean, the IU argument, like IU is essentially the same team schedule-wise as SMU. So you can't have IU in there and then kick SMU out, especially because SMU's playing for a conference championship too. Yeah. So I think ultimately they got it right. Maybe inside the actual, playoff, the seeding could be a little different, but for the most part, I mean, they got it right. I don't really have any complaints with them.
Yeah, they were a little hamstrung with the bracket with the 4 buys. They had to give them to the conference champions. So
right.
And once Clemson was ACC, then they were the odd man out in terms of the bye. So I would be very strongly guessing that next year that is not how it'll be anymore.
Yes, they will change the format 100%.
So they'll just rank them 1 to 12 or 1 to 14 if there's 14 teams and go from there.
Yep.
Yeah, it was interesting how. Now I saw this, and just looking over at the bracket, the number 1 seed. Granted, 8-9 games. That's the way the brackets fall, but that's a tough first round game for Oregon. No matter who wins that Tennessee, Ohio State game, and then you look at, people are saying, Penn State has the easy road.
They've got to win a big game first. They still haven't done it.
Right. I think Texas's road is easier.
I think so. Yeah. Clemson and then Arizona State.
Right. Yeah. Could be. All right.
Plus, I think Texas is better than Penn State also. So
I don't know. The way Texas played last night.
They only lost by 3 to Georgia.
Yeah, but Georgia stunk. They had their backup quarterback in, who scored 16 points for them.
You would not put money on Penn State against Texas. No way.
No.
Because if you want to, if you do, then that happens. I'm ready to bet on you.
Well, that'll be in the championship game, so we never know. I might,
No way.
I might.
Penn State hasn't won a big game in a decade.
Texas, and when has Texas won a big game?
They made it to the Final Four last year.
Or I guess
when did they win a big game?
Well, they won their Big 12 championship game that year or whatever. That's a big game. They beat Oklahoma a couple times. That's a big game.
It's not a big game.
By that criteria, what big game has Penn State even played in? And we're over here talking about they haven't won.
They haven't.
Yeah, they have. They have.
No, so I don't know. I just don't think Texas has, at least this year, they haven't played anybody good besides Georgia, and they lost twice to them. So
yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, they got easy schedule in the SEC this year.
Yes, they did. All right, let's go ahead into the first round matchups here. So we'll go the 12 seed Clemson versus the 5 seed Texas. It's played in Austin. Who you got?
No, I've got Texas.
Texas.
I think I'll take Texas as well on this one. Even though I like Dabo to pull an upset here, but I don't think they're strong enough. All right. 8-9 game played in Columbus, Tennessee versus Ohio State.
As much as I will be rooting, I'll be wearing orange all that entire day. I'm going to find every orange piece of clothing I have. I think Ohio State's going to win. I think they're so embarrassed from last week that if they don't win that game, then
bye.
They got larger issues. So I think Ohio State will put it together for that game.
Yeah, I mean, Brian Day is literally coaching for his job right now. They have to win it all. If they don't, he's getting fired. Tennessee, their quarterback's been too inconsistent. I think big game on the road at the Shoe. It's probably going to be cold. He's a California kid. He's probably never played in anything below 50 degrees. So I'm going to go with Ohio State.
Yeah, I think that could be the deciding factor is the weather. Tennessee.
I didn't see.
Here's the thing that I think wasn't before.
Yeah.
Wasn't last week Tennessee ahead of Ohio State in the rankings?
I don't think so. I don't think anybody switched that didn't play.
After they lost to Michigan.
After Ohio State lost?
Yeah, I thought they dropped to 9 or 8, and Tennessee was 7.
Tennessee was 7 last week, and they stayed. Technically, they stayed 7 this week. They're just seeded 9th.
Ohio State. Ohio State.
No, Ohio State, I think, went to 6 because they wouldn't have gone below Indiana. So, because Indiana's at 8.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they would have went to 6.
I don't think anybody moved that didn't play.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I thought Tennessee was ahead of Ohio State, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where you could argue a few spots was within those.
Yep.
5 to 9 spots or whatever. I mean, Tennessee fans are going to say they should be ranked higher. I mean, Notre Dame fans are going to say they should be ranked higher.
Well, they can't be ranked higher.
They can go to 5.
They can go to 5.
Oh,
they could have gone to Texas' spot.
Well, it's weird because I don't like how because Notre Dame is the 5, like in terms of the rankings, but then in the seed they're ranked 7th.
Right, because of the Boise
Just
State, Arizona State thing.
Right.
Everybody's 2 spots below where they
should be,
in a sense. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's move to Happy Valley, where SMU, the Ponies, are coming up against the Nittany Lions. That it's a noon kickoff. So on the December 21st, who do you have? Penn State is favored by 8.5.
I would not be surprised if SMU wins that game, but I will take Penn State.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take Penn State because I think you just kind of have to. But yeah, I mean, they've never won a big game. So I would not be surprised if that trend continues.
I mean, they're the second highest as far as the betting line, giving points 8.5.
Yeah,
Texas was
I think
11.
that's somewhat. I think Vegas doesn't trust SMU because they have not beaten. They've not beaten anybody this year, of high quality. So
yeah, I mean, I agree. I think I mean, I would not be surprised if SMU comes in there and beats them, but I think Penn State should win that game playing at home. And then we move to the 10-7 game here. The Hoosier State will be, they're going to be chomping. They're going to be loving it. Number 10, Indiana travels to South Bend to face the number 7 Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. And that is a 8 p.m. game on Friday, December 20th. Who do you guys like in that? Notre Dame's favored by 8.
That one's tough to me because I don't trust IU. The only good team they played, they got housed by Ohio State. But Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois, so at home. So I don't know.
Yeah, they've won every game since.
They have.
You can say they haven't played a lot of power teams, but
not have any of them
every game since.
Good, I don't know. I don't really follow Notre Dame. I don't pay attention to them all that much. I don't care for their quarterback, Riley Leonard. I don't think he's any good.
I mean, Indiana hasn't exactly run the gauntlet in terms of their wins either.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to say Notre Dame wins, but I think it's going to be the closest of the 4 games.
Yeah, I do not agree with that. I think Notre Dame's going to win, and it's not going to be that close.
Yeah,
I think Notre Dame's defense is probably the best right now. Maybe playing the best in the country. They run the ball down. They're going to run the ball down our throat. Yeah, I think it might be the actual biggest difference in the games.
I think Notre Dame will win this game. Yeah, I do. I think the stage is just a little too big for Indiana right now. They proved that with just the Ohio State debacle, right? I mean, the punter letting the ball hit his face mask, not catching it, and then the punt return for a touchdown. I mean, it's just, little things like that says you're not ready for the moment. And this is a big game, and I think Notre Dame is going to win that. So we have round 2. We're going to the 5-4. It's the Peach Bowl presented by Chick-fil-A. So it'd be Texas number 5 versus number 4 Arizona State. New Year's Day, 1 p.m. Who's moving on?
I think Arizona State's better than people are giving them credit for. I just think Texas is going to win by talent. So, I mean, Texas was in the Big 12 last year and won the Big 12 pretty kind of handily. So they're used to playing bigger games. I think they'll win. But I don't think it's going to be a blowout of any sort. I mean, my guess is Texas will be favored by a pretty decent number, and I think Arizona State will be closer than that.
Sam?
I really like Arizona State. I don't know, something about Quinn Ewers. I don't know. Just the big game. I think the moment gets to him a little bit. He's looking over his shoulder a little too much. Arizona State's gonna want it. I mean, I love their head coach. Kenny Dillingham's a great head coach. I think Arizona State would beat Texas. I think they would beat Clemson too. So either team, I'm picking Arizona State.
Yeah, I bet Arizona State can run the ball like they've ran the ball with what's his name? Is it
Scatterboo?
Quinn Ewers, against Georgia, down into the red zone, and this is, against A&M and against Georgia, they couldn't punch it in. I mean, he's throwing off his back foot all the time, and he doesn't have any zip on the ball when he's throwing it in the tight windows. It's always this lob stuff, and and maybe Sark will see that and put Arch in a little bit, Arch Manning, and use that instead of having him as the Justin Fields running quarterback. I don't know, but I think I'm going to go with Arizona State. I just think that they will somehow find a way to get it done. So we're going to go to the Rose Bowl next, presented by Prudential. Number one, Oregon. This is like going to be a traditional Rose Bowl, right? I mean, Pac-10, Big Ten. Ohio State comes in. A rematch. This time it's a neutral field, so the Buckeye faithful can't complain when they get hammered because they don't do well in the Rose Bowl traditionally against the Pac-12. So I'm picking Oregon. Who you guys got?
Yeah, that will be Ryan Day's last head coach at Ohio. Best game at Ohio State because I've got Oregon too. Will Howard's not. He can't throw the ball, and Ohio State's really with the wide receiver talent. They're built to throw the ball, and they went after a quarterback that can't throw it. That's been their downfall this year, and that's what's going to end their season.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to pick Oregon. I give Ohio State again, that will not surprise you if Ohio State wins. Traditionally, teams coming off byes are actually not helped by byes unless they have a bunch of health issues. So I think that's going to be a problem for Oregon. I think, they better be close by halftime. It would not surprise me if Ohio State jumps on them in the first half because of the bye issue. And so it will not surprise me if Ohio State wins. I think Oregon is better right now. I think Ohio State's mentally not great. But so I'll pick Oregon. I just think it's tough to beat a team twice, a good team two times in a season.
It is very tough. Okay, we're moving into the Fiesta Bowl presented by VRBO. Penn State's moving in, taking on Boise State, the number 3 seed. That's on New Year's Eve at 7:30 p.m. Who you got?
This one I'm probably picking with my heart a little bit. I'm taking Boise State. I just don't think Penn State's all that good. Again, of all the teams here, maybe Indiana, maybe SMU, whatever, but even Boise State has better wins than Penn State. and Boise State,
Oregon by 3.
right, and they missed the field goal
Oregon
or something too.
Yeah.
Now that's the very beginning of the season. So, I'm going to go Boise State here.
Yep, I got Boise State also. They relived the 2007 Fiesta Bowl glory. Yep. I think it's going to be a similar game as far as it come down to the wire, and I think Boise State will pull it out because Penn State doesn't win big games.
And Penn State doesn't do a very good job stopping the run, and Boise State has the runner. So, they're going to be feeding him a lot. And this is where the bye might actually come in to help a little bit because he has an extra couple of weeks.
Playing the last couple of weeks with like an elbow brace. Like he's been up.
But just to rest his legs a little bit, instead of getting the ball 35 times, he's going to get it 45 times. And we'll see. All right, moving on to the Sugar Bowl. So we all have Notre Dame versus Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, presented by Allstate. Who do you
got? Georgia. Georgia just win. They win big games. They just find a way. Either the refs help or who knows, Kirby Smart, voodoo magic. They just find a way. Unless they're playing Alabama against everybody else, they find a way. So I think they beat Notre Dame pretty easily. Well, I picked IU, but whoever ends up,
IU, so yeah, okay.
I think they beat them pretty easily.
I'm going to pick Georgia. I don't think it'll be easy. I think Notre Dame mirrors Georgia a little bit. I think they're better defensively than they are offensively. I don't think Georgia's offense is all that great. I mean, Carson Beck is maybe the most overrated player in college football this year. So I think it'll be somewhat of a slugfest, but I think Georgia just overall has better talent.
I'm going with the Irish. I think I just think that I think they might upset Georgia. They run the ball really well. I mean, like you said, they are pretty much a mirror image of it. But it's played in New Orleans, so who knows? Who knows what could happen on New Year's Day? In New Orleans, because
well, you'll get
New Year's
about
Eve.
You'll get pretty equal fan bases there.
Right. So we'll see. All right, let's move on to the quarterfinals. So it'd either be Texas or Arizona State versus Oregon.
Either probably matchup. I'll go Oregon.
Yeah, I'm going Oregon as well.
Yeah.
All right, so we got Oregon there, and then in the other one, we have either Boise State. I think it's Boise State, and either Georgia or Notre Dame.
Yeah, I'd go Georgia. I took Georgia over Notre Dame. I think they can beat. If there's a defense that can stop / limit Gentry to 110 yards, it'd be Georgia's defense.
Yeah, I'm going to go Georgia as well.
I'll go Notre Dame. So that's who I had coming out. All right, so for the national championship game on January 20th, either Georgia, Oregon, or Oregon, Notre Dame. Who do you guys got?
I'm going to go Georgia over Oregon. Teams don't go undefeated very often. So simply for that.
I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to go Oregon over Georgia. Just no, I don't have any, undefeated analysis or anything. I just think Oregon's been the best team all year, and I think they'll stay that way.
Yep, it's a mentor versus the mentee. All right. Does Kirby Smart have the Nick Saban effect when he goes up against his coaching tree, or does Dan Lanning say, no, not this time? And, I'm starting my tree, that kind of thing. I think Oregon is the quick strike. Dylan Gabriel is running that offense really well. They don't throw the ball deep a lot. But Georgia's back end is a little suspect. They're not getting the push that they should be getting or used to be getting. Their corners are not great cover guys like they've been in the past. So I think Oregon's going to exploit that, and they're just fast and they're tough too. They're fast and tough, and I think they're on a mission, and I think they're going to hoist the trophy. So we got 2 Oregons and 1 Georgia. So those of you out there,
I may modify. I just remembered I said Carson Beck was the most overrated player in college football.
And here you are, you're loving him.
It's hard for me to pick Dylan Gabriel. I think he's a putz. He's a little.
He's got the putts, and he's moving the offense. But
yeah, I think he's just a little whining putz.
Just because he's played for 6 teams,
right? He's only 42 years old.
Yeah.
But so I don't know. I might go back on it and go with Oregon. It's because Georgia's offense probably ain't going to be good enough.
All right.
I don't know that Beck is even going to play.
He's going to play.
There were some lip readers when he was talking about his injury. His lip said it's really bad. So I don't know. And they said his hand on the broadcast, but when he was pointing, he was pointing in here, like something with his elbow. So I'm sure.
hand the ball off for the game-winning touchdown. So
yeah, Brock Purdy came in 2 years ago back in when everybody got a concussion for the 49ers. And all he did was hand it off. So well, I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if Beck doesn't play.
Well, then if Beck doesn't play, then why should Georgia be in, right? That's according to Florida State, right?
Because they still won the SEC.
Yeah, right. That's
just how the format is.
But so did Florida State. Florida State won the ACC.
Well, yeah,
but Florida State would have been in a 12-team playoff.
Yeah.
Yes, they would have been. You are correct there.
Yeah.
You are correct.
There's just no automatic bid.
Right.
And ultimately, we saw what they did in the bowl game against Georgia, and it was the right decision.
Well, but you got to realize too that was half the team said we're not playing in the bowl game. They're going to the draft and
but
whatnot.
Half of Georgia's team said that too. So
no, they didn't.
I
don't think half of them did.
I'm sure they had some opt-outs.
Yeah, probably, but it is what it is. So Florida State, sorry, you're not in this one, and you weren't in last one. So there you go. All right, let's wrap this up. Oh no, we gotta real quick. Any bowl games out there that you want to shout out? And
I got to shout out to my, the Red Hawks playing in the
Snoop Dogg,
the Gin and Juice Bowl.
Yeah, the Gin and Juice.
Gin and Juice Bowl
against Colorado State in
I mean, I just want to know what you get in the swag bag for that one. So
I think we know.
Probably excited about that. So that was one that stood out to me. I don't know. Not a lot of great matchups.
No, there's not.
I mean, even that second tier of bowls is pretty bad. I mean, Citrus Bowl, Illinois and South Carolina.
Yeah. Well, South Carolina's been playing.
Yeah, they're going to win by 28.
Michigan that's going to spark some interest at least. It might not be a very good game, but
yeah, well, just because of the names.
Right, that's what I'm
saying. Michigan hasn't been very good this year.
No, they did beat Ohio State.
Bowl will be a good one. BYU versus Colorado.
Yeah.
I mean, the guys from Colorado said that they're playing. They're not opting out. So, I mean, I can't imagine BYU's going to have anybody opting out.
BYU versus Colorado?
Yeah,
the Alamo Bowl.
Alamo Bowl.
Aren't they both in the
Big
12?
Yeah, they're both in the Big 12, but they didn't play each other.
They didn't play each other.
Okay.
Yeah, they didn't play each other, though.
Wow.
That is kind of weird. Now that you mentioned that, yeah.
I was like,
but no, I'm reading that right. That says BYU.
No, it is. It is, yeah. Yeah, I guess that can happen now as long as they don't play each other.
Yeah.
So nobody wants to go to the Cricket Celebration Bowl in Jackson State versus South Carolina State. The very first one on Saturday, December 14th. Want to pass that?
Sure. I mean, there's most of these bowls I would not go to.
No. Florida got in a bowl. Yeah, they did, didn't they?
Yeah, they won some games.
Yeah. The famous Idaho Potato Bowl, Northern Illinois and Fresno State might be a good one, a shootout. Just trying to think.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really too many.
I mean, I root for the military academy, so I'm hoping Navy will beat Oklahoma. And Army will beat Marshall. But I would have thought Army would have had a better game. I mean, Army lost one game all season in Notre Dame, and they get Marshall. Like, I would have thought it would have been nice to give them I think it would have been cool to see Army play Michigan or something. Whatever. I don't know, but just somebody who's considered a higher level team, LSU or something.
The Independence Bowl has conference tie-ins, so it's the winner of the American and the winner of the Sun Belt play, as long as they're not in the college football playoff. So that's why they got Marshall. Marshall won 11 games, so I mean they're not it's not a 6-6 team at the very least. So
wow, the Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl. This is
it's not the Gasparilla Bowl anymore. They changed their bowl sponsorship.
Yep, the Bad Boy Mowers is taking over Yankee Stadium. with Boston College and Nebraska.
Great.
Yeah, that is. Now the Pop-Tarts Bowl, Iowa State, Miami. There you go.
I mean, that's probably the best on paper. At least you have
right.
two
Yeah.
teams that, I mean, that were top teams.
Yeah, but I don't think anybody from Miami is going to play. That's the issue now with these bowls is
right.
So many guys don't play. It
Yeah.
just
the Go Bowling Military Bowl. This could be a good one. You've got East Carolina versus NC State. So a little, big brother, little brother type of.
What do you know about NC State or East Carolina?
Hey,
but
Pirates,
it could be a good game.
The Pirates are coming for the Wolfpack. I'm telling you that right now. The Pirates are coming for
You couldn't
them.
name one thing about either of those teams.
They're purple.
Other than where they're at.
they're purple. Yeah,
purple. There. BYU, Colorado's a good one.
I think ultimately that'll be the best non-playoff one. I do, because I think BYU, nobody ever opts out from BYU. There's something about those Mormons; they're not going to opt out. I think the guys from Colorado said they're not opting out.
Well, no, because they had to wait 6 years to play
Right,
because
exactly,
they were on their mission trip, so they came back and I don't know, the Bama with a little revenge against Michigan. We'll see. Louisville, Washington, I don't know. South Carolina, Illinois, nah. Baylor, LSU.
Yeah.
Duke, Ole Miss, nah. North Texas versus Texas State, another, state rivalry.
You are not going to watch that game.
No, I don't know. It's Friday, January 3rd. I mean, what do we got? What are we going to do at 4 p.m. in the afternoon? I'm like,
I'm sure I'll find something to do besides watch that game.
Might have it on, shooting a little pool down in the basement. Who knows? Just background noise. And then the last one is Buffalo versus Liberty.
Oh, yay.
And then football season will be over except for the playoffs. So, but yeah, so, there you have it.
And I guess maybe that is a side effect of having the 12-team playoff is, you'd have 8 teams that would have been in those games, those other bowls now that are not in them. So,
right. Yep. But like Sam said, a lot of them opting out. So you have the ugliness of, the games. So yeah. All right. We are going to wrap it up here. We are going to say thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Those of you that are out there watching, you can always find us on YouTube at 7 p.m. on Sunday evenings. Next week, our show, we are going to be talking about the best supporting sports cast in movies. So we're not going to go with the main stars, but we're going to see which movies had the best supporting cast in them. So until next week, everybody take care.
See you.
See you later.